you could check that camera for the entire season, say to like October 25th, and it might have had literally like 5 pictures on it in like 3 months. Like how dead that can be. All of a sudden, you get a cold front in that prime period when bucks really want to cruise and cover ground. Say October 25th, you get that major front. You hit that travel corridor, you hunt it 2 or 3 days during that front. I would almost guarantee you're going to see a big deer, and a very likely chance you get an opportunity. Like that's a scenario, and that's the mindset like I have. Like a lot of times, I'm not waiting for that camera to turn on. I already have faith in my experiences. Like, even though it's been dead, I know that's a travel corridor. These bucks have not been cruising yet. And we're also in this time period. If we get the right weather situation, this travel corridor is going to light up. So that would be a spot that I look for. And then also, this is something I like to use more with cell cameras or being more consistent around doe bedding and feeding areas. Is like if you're getting like just mainly a lot of doe activity, and prior to one of these fronts that hit in the rut, maybe you're getting a lot of night pictures of bucks in there, but not in the day. Um, if I'm getting a lot of night pictures, and I know it's before the rut, and still a little bit before does are going to come into heat, I'll back out of that spot. But then once we get closer to that late October, early November period, you can jump right on does and have a lot of success. Like a lot of times, the biggest problem with cameras is people are waiting to see it happen. And sometimes it's just a small window. Like there might have been one hot doe in that group, and that was last week. Even though that camera showed all that activity, it's over with now until maybe another one of those does comes in heat. Like it's being able to get ahead a lot of times too. But that's where the cell cam situation can come in. Like I've also seen it on cell cams. We had it happen this year with a client. Some people may not like what I did, but all of a sudden I'm getting the doe hitting the scrape. Looking at her body language. She's flicking her tail. She's urinating in the scrape, and then bam, 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 like 5 bucks in 2 hours hit that scrape. I'm like, we got to get in there. Someone's got to get in there. This doe's
Absolutely.
hot. Like that's a scenario where you get in there now, and that's just because that was a cell cam. It's almost impossible to really get on those situations. I've done it though. I mean, I've been fortunate where I've checked the camera at the right time. Heck, you could even tell without checking the camera. You could just smell all the buck activity, the urine, and just them being in there. Like it's hot right now. Like in the rut, a lot of what it is too is once you start getting hot does, you got to be where that hot doe is.
What you said sparked something in my mind when you talked about. I think one of the mistakes that we've made in the past is being a little too hard and fast on when we want to hunt. It's like, well, we're going to take our trip November 1 through 7, and
Yep.
this next year we're going to take it November 3 through 10 because that's when we can get off and stuff. And I feel like what we notice with those cameras is following those fronts,
Yep.
you see an explosion of movement. And one of the ones that I thought about was that week you were talking about, October 24th through the 29th or something. It was a really, really late October hot week. But in our area in Oklahoma, the 30th was one of the coldest Halloween's transitions that I remember. I mean, it was in the 20s where
Wow.
we were at, and it was a 40 or 50-degree drop. And what we noticed on one of our spots on public was it was a spot we had hunted in early October, and there was a few does and there was a little buck pushing around some does. In that one spot where I was hunting, I hung a trail camera 10 feet from my tree, and we had what was it, 5 or 6 bucks, Jake, like
Yeah.
over Pope and Young in one day walk by that tree. And I had never seen a good buck by that tree ever. And it was like that one day when that weather hit, it was overnight. And it was just, it's like they just open a gate and they all come out of it. It's like, here you
Exactly.
go. And it was crazy. It was just wild to me. And I could have hunted there. I ended up shooting a buck that same day on private, but it was like a light switch. And I've seen it. The older I get, the more I see it.
And that's what I meant about like some of those travel corridors. I'm not going to say every travel corridor is going to be like that, but that's just your mindset. Like all of a sudden, there's going to be an explosion, and these bucks are going to be traveling like crazy. And why I like that late October period more is you have hardly any hot does, but yet bucks are just looking like crazy for that hot doe. And like if you can get that right weather and that right time frame, and set up in the right spots where bucks are going to cruise through. Like it's just amazing, like the potential of that.